Senator Braun introduced the Relieve Act to expand the eligibility for veterans to access emergency care from a provider outside the VA. I've also joined with Senator Moran, our ranking member, in introducing the Health Act to ensure Arizona veterans retain the ability to make their own decisions around their health care, while also making much-needed improvements to the quality of care provided. And I look forward to working with both Senator Moran and Chairman Tester to continue to improve options for community care. My first question is for you, Ms. Thomas. Nearly every day, my staff helps Arizona veterans.
Folks, if you receive monthly benefits, then there are some very important news you have to know. Monthly benefit checks may be announced, dramatically decreasing your monthly stimulus. So as the economy has suffered from the crisis, supply chain problems, and skyrocketing inflation, while the federal government has stepped in multiple times to help Americans through a variety of relief initiatives, including stimulus checks, tax rebates, debt relief, and other programs. According to a recent Go Banking Rates survey, 60% of Americans would still like to see more stimulus money in 2023, and so would so many other people across the nation. Because when the crisis that led to this hardship may be over, financial woes for the people that suffered this will definitely not be over. Because the good news is that there are some programs that provide approved payments of 2022 that will continue to roll into this year. It's also possible that the American economy is going to go into recession. Not really possible, but it definitely will head into recession, and we're already in one. Because on the East Coast, several states have some kind of stimulus that will extend this year. Now, not all of the stimulus comes from bills passed by the Fed. Some are rebates or surplus tax refunds that states are passing along to the residents. Because in the state of Delaware, for instance, resident adults 18 and older who filed their income taxes may have been eligible for a Delaware one-time tax rebate. A one-time tax rebate, folks. And what I mean by this is that in the state of Massachusetts, $3 billion surplus was sent out. It decided to divide that money to its residents in the form of tax rebate and refund. Anybody who filed in 2022 should have received their refund already, but residents who filed their taxes on or before September 15th will begin that money too. And now, no later than September of this year, New Jersey residents can still take advantage of property tax refunds through the Affordable New Jersey Communities for Homeowner and Resistance Program. Pennsylvania has also given $1,500 while renters can receive $450 if you're a homeowner, and the deadline for 2023 filing is January 31st. Applications for this anchor program need to be filed with the state's Division of Taxation. Pennsylvania has an ongoing program since 1971 that benefits seniors, which is still in effect. They send out a refund of property taxes or paid rent monthly for seniors. The maximum standard rebate is $650, but those eligible for supplemental rebates can receive up to $975. That income limit is $35,000 a year for homeowners and $15,000 a year for renters, though half of Social Security income is excluded. To get the funds, an application is required. It must be filed with the state's Department of Revenue by December 31st, and the state of Virginia already sent eligible taxpayers checks worth up to $500 in the form of one-time bonus tax refunds. But while most checks were mailed out in September, for those who filed at the later end of the application window, it's possible that some checks may still be on the way to check out their monthly benefit checks in some way or form. It has already been almost 3 years since the crisis began. It was a long time ago, but many states have already been making adjustments to the monthly benefits. It has been announced that extra crisis SNAP benefits are coming to an end in 2 months for residents who use the program in Massachusetts. About 630,000 homes in the state have been relying on SNAP since March, and has allowed them to receive the maximum benefits, and that means good stimulus money.
I was able to get not all I needed, but $369 billion put in that bill. And we had, I think the guys were with me, the Congress were with me when I invited the CEOs of the auto companies to the White House lawn in the back, behind the White House. And I talked about automobiles, and they talked about electric vehicles. At the time, Amy Barrett was
The most recent crisis relief legislation provided payments of up to $3,600 per child under age 6 to the eligible parents, and also $3,000 per child ages 6 to 17. So Republicans were on board with this specifically, although the child tax credit was a key Democratic priority. The Republicans have indicated to everybody that they believe the current child tax credit should be modified, and that parents should receive more aid in some shape or form. But since this may be one of the few areas where there is an overlap of goals on the left and on the right, there remains a chance that parents and at least some people with extra help from the federal government could get that money sooner than we expected. And I'm pretty much shocked that can happen. Because, listen to this, some Republicans are indicating that they believe that there's some type of way to help out the people with stimulus checks. And I think that's definitely one possibility for people to get stimulus checks, but it's going to be done like this. For instance, people believe that the legislation passed in the Democratic-led House of Representatives in the last Congress would extend this child tax credit for another year. Just one more year with another spending program under $1 trillion. But critics like Joe Manchin objected to short-term programs in a 10-year bill, such as the enhanced child tax credit that could become permanent and more costly. Manchin also reportedly has proposed adding work requirements for the children's tax credit. The child tax credit was originally aimed at working parents paying over $2,000 in taxes yearly, but was greatly expanded during this crisis. And before the 2021 expansion, people working on the lowest income jobs were just not eligible for this money. This expansion made the credit available to parents with working lower income jobs or not even working. For instance, Mike Lee and Marco Rubio said they support more money going to families of parents who are working, but for those who are not, well, they're not going to get the money because you don't deserve it, they said. Well, I'm not sure about what that says. I'm not sure what that means because President Biden definitely said that he would send out more stimulus payments. Am I right or am I wrong? First of all, New Jersey State Assembly has approved a revised version of the state child tax credit, fixing an error in the legislation that will have delayed payments for 2 years. The bill passed the program, and the governor signed into law, providing a refundable credit of up to $500 a year for people under the age of 6. And this program was a response by Democrats to soaring costs of living, but a drafting error in a final bill meant that the credit could not even be claimed until the 2023 tax year, and families will not even get the benefit until 2024. Fortunately, the problem has not even been solved. And Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, for instance, is talking about this. It's another state that has taken matters into its own hands, and Congress failing to extend the child tax credits. Well, the governor of Vermont is signing off on a $1,000 child tax credit for every child 5 and under. Just the households earning $125,000 or less. Families who claim the credit would actually lose $20,000 for every $1,000 over the $125,000 that they earn.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to talk about the Republican decision to cut the funding from the Internal Revenue Service. This funding was part of President Biden's critical Inflation Reduction Act. The $80 billion for the IRS enforcement would have forced tax-cheating corporations, and wealthy Americans to finally pay their fair share. Instead, Republicans chose to rescind $72 billion of that money and force a 2% cut to the agency funding in the last spending package. The IRS support would have collected billions in taxes, boosted our economy, and lowered the nation's debt ceiling. Issues that the Republicans claim are important. Instead, this vote shows Republicans.
Folks, what are your thoughts on President Biden and the fourth stimulus check?